All right, so we're on our next episode of Forward, and today we're talking about an interesting topic that I think some of you marketing ops pros have maybe seen this before, some of you haven't. It's top of mind for us because last week we got a taste of, I think, an instance of it where the downstream effects were huge for our clients. So you were knee deep in dealing with that. Do you want to kick it off by talking about what the issue is? And
Okay. Yeah, last week was pretty crazy because of this. I'm not going to lie. I think this is an issue that we've seen for, I can't remember, maybe a couple of years, maybe a bit longer. But it hasn't been as serious as this, at least for us. Actually, once before, we've had a serious issue with this, but usually it's kind of a small issue that you can deal with quite quickly, doesn't really cause a ton of downstream effects. But what we're talking about is spam form fills with Marketo forms. They can be pretty vulnerable to spam attacks, and just the way that Marketo is set up and the way that we have things structured in Marketo and triggered our form fills, it can be quite easily abused through these spam form fills. And over the last few years, we've seen this, I think, progressively get worse. And when we first started seeing this, maybe you would get a few thousand leads. You would see you could see them in the system. There would all be, QQ email addresses or
Google, like lowercase Google company name, or like Mickey Mouse, kind of like random names.
Yeah, like maybe kind of just junk data.
Junk data, yeah.
I know QQ email addresses aren't necessarily junk data, but it would just look like a lot of it is kind of just bad data and just low volumes. But then what happened last week was a bit more scary just because of the scale and then what happened afterwards.
And I think also the way that it was structured, like just knowing how the data was input and what downstream effects could happen from that. So
yeah, whoever's doing this knows how Marketo works, right? Or they know how these systems work because not necessarily Marketo, I'm sure they're attacking other systems. But so what they did, right? Maybe let's get into the meat of it. So what they did is very quickly, 125,000 leads were added into the system through multiple forms. So as we noticed it was happening, usually the Marketo advice and what clients typically do to just kind of put a Band-Aid on this problem is you delete the form, and that means they can't attack it anymore. You replace it with another form, and then you delete the leads, right? And so we saw it come in. We deleted the form, but then they attacked another form. They ended up attacking a few forms over the course of about 24 hours. And actually, in this case, they had varying levels of attacks leading up to this over the last year, basically. And each one was smaller, kind of like they were testing the water a little bit. So then this day happened where this coordinated attack came in, and all of the data came in with just legitimate looking email addresses, kind of the Charlie Saunders at gmail.com type email addresses. Some of them in there didn't look, maybe what they were real, but 125,000, a lot were just kind of Gmails, Ymails, Hotmails, just all personal email addresses. I didn't see like any company email addresses in there. Right. But email addresses probably stolen from some kind of hack somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Where people have been using their personal email address to log into some account somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably bought this list and they just chucked it into this client's Marketo instance. Anyway, so that's a problem, of course. The other problem was in the first name field, they had text which said something not very PC and had a link.
Yeah.
So not all of them had a link, but about 10 to 15% the link came through in the field.
Yeah, so basically like malicious, like fake, basically.
Yeah.
So something to try and
get people to click that link. Exactly. Because they knew that, okay, we go through this form is going to probably have an automated trigger email that goes out. And that automated trigger email says, hello, first name token.
Yeah.
So that email went out to a ton of these people straight away saying, hello, then that text link. And maybe that email will get caught in spam, maybe it wouldn't, but there's a lot of people out there that would have got this email from a company that they're probably not really aware of with this spam malicious link. Now, you don't know what's going to happen after that, right? Some of these people might have clicked that link. Now they've got infected with malware, and it's one of those things that can just cascade and get worse and worse over time. And
then their first impression with that brand is like, this brand has been hacked.
Of course, yeah.
Why, and so then you instantly are like, I'm never going to open an email from them again.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Or mark them as spam, and now they've got logged as a bad sender, sending reputation. And even if these people aren't potential customers, it doesn't matter, right? Like, it's still really bad to send someone who may never buy from you still.
Yeah.
This type of email.
That hurts your deliverability on your domain. It impacts your reputation score, which then could impact how you can actually reach your real prospects.
Yeah. And that wasn't even, that was one of the worst things, but there was a top 10 list of bad things, all relatively equal in severity. So 125,000 new leads in the system, bad.
Yeah.
Emails out to thousands of people with malicious links, bad. Of course, anyone who knows, we've got a ton of stuff in Marketo triggering off filled out form. So,
which is hard to stop.
Right. Now your scoring campaigns are triggering, your lifecycle campaigns are triggering, your standardization campaigns are triggering, all very big volume. So your whole campaign queue in Marketo has gone to shit. It's just, completely bogged down by this. And that isn't the worst thing in the world, right? Because we can delete the leads and just let that all work through. But there's some triggered campaigns, like the email one, that actually have big implications, like syncing to Salesforce. So in this instance, their Salesforce had performance issues. One, they hit their API limit. And two, they're even saying that some people were locked out of their Salesforce, that they couldn't get in during this time. I don't know, I haven't kind of looked into how that could happen, but they were having Salesforce performance issues. They hit their API limit in Salesforce. So now your connected systems are having issues. That your sales team is relying on that. Salesforce is the tool that everyone's using, and your Marketo instance is causing performance issues there because of this form attack. Yeah. It's just crazy.
Yeah. And then that's your one connected tool, but then
you got a ton of
a lot of downstream tools that may be connected to Salesforce or Marketo, like enrichment tools that you're using up all your credits for that.
Well, so that happened here. They have Clearbit, new lead is created, trigger, call Webhook. So they called the Webhook thousands of times to Clearbit to enrich those people.
And that uses an API call for Marketo.
And uses, if you're paying for the call with Clearbit or other enrichment tools or other connected, it's just...
You hit your limits potentially even further.
Yeah, or even spend money, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're enriching based on how much each record.
Yeah.
So you're sending emails to people you shouldn't. You're bringing down your Salesforce instance. You're spending money that you shouldn't be spending. There's still more to this list. It's crazy. So they had alerts being triggered internally.
Because your forms on their website.
Because it was a demo form.
Alerts.
It was a demo form.
I guess sent to your sales team.
Most people have some kind of high priority form like that, whether it's contact us or demo or whatever. they seem to be the ones that get attacked the most. And like, that's not a scientific, research done on that, but from what I see across everyone that's being attacked, they do attack these high priority forms.
Definitely.
They're the ones that have a lot more, triggered off them, like an alert. So now,
auto MQ as well.
right? But there wasn't just one alert. There was other alerts that went on with this. So now, thousands of emails are being sent from Marketo to your own company. And so what they had Gmail had a rate limit issues where they had to stop emails getting sent to some of the people at their own company because they were getting too many emails. And guess what? Marketo, because of the high volume and because some of these emails were bouncing, was like kept on trying to send these emails even like the next day. So we were called Marketo. We tried to get them to stop the emails going out, but they can't, because if they're on a shared IP. So if they stop the emails going out, they have to stop them from all the other clients on that IP. So they couldn't. These emails, they kept on. They had this kind of, you just have to sit it out and wait it out. So there were some important people at that company who didn't get any emails for a couple of days. So they could have clients emailing them, investors, like whoever trying to email them, internal emails. There's nothing you can do about it. So they were the major things: the emails going out, the emails coming in, like alerts, the Salesforce sync, API limits exceeded, the integrated systems being affected, through the Webhook and Clearbit, and then you just have to think about kind of the things that you just don't know yet that's going to happen, right? How many of those people are in the EU and are going to get upset and have some kind of GDPR complaint? How many of those people were potentially your buyers? It's probably a small percentage, but now there's brand implications. And this is something that's happening to a lot of Marketo customers. And it's just, there are some solutions, and we'll get to that in a minute, but there isn't really an easy solution. So we're just trying to make sure everyone's aware of this so they can start trying to figure out what they're going to do about it. Because if you go into the Marketo community, a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people have this issue. Just from our experience, I don't know many companies that haven't had it in some kind of way, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's, even if it's just a few hundred leads or a couple of thousand or something, someone's had something happen. And it seems like if you are experiencing this and you are having that smaller amount of leads come through and there's smaller attacks and you're just dealing with them by deleting the forms and everything, it does seem to just escalate.
Yeah, might be a big attack on the horizon.
Yeah, and we don't want to scare people, but it is, I think people need to know how serious it can get.
Yeah, operationally, this needs to be on everyone's radar, and I think prioritizing it because of just the downstream effects can be so harmful. So we really need to take it seriously and set yourself up for success instead of just being reactive to when it does happen. Because
that's most people's approach, right? Once they see the solutions, they end up thinking, that's a lot of work, we can't prioritize that right now. Okay, we'll just delete the form, we'll set up a smart campaign which listens for kind of the similar leads that we saw come in and delete them. And that's the problem, because it changes every time, right? So we've had clients, delete, if email address contains this, delete. And then another one comes in with a different email address. They say, okay, if email address contains this other thing, delete.
Yeah.
If first name contains this, delete. And like you just don't know what's going to come in next. So there's just no way that's just not a robust solution that's going to help you sleep at night. It wouldn't help me sleep at night if I was the one responsible. So. Yeah.
And until Marketo and maybe the other market automation platforms figure out a way to handle this, which I think if you're listening and you work for them, it needs to be addressed. I think that we all maybe should even sign a petition that needs to be addressed.
I heard they did in their response. It is something they're taking very seriously. They said, Marketo support.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's something on the horizon.
Yeah.
Because I think they're saying it is something that's getting worse. I think.
Yeah, and that impacts Marketo, right? That can be like system down for some people. So.
Well, this in this instance, they even have been questioning whether Marketo is the right solution for them because of all of this.
Yeah.
And I think that would be maybe a little bit of an overreaction. I don't know if other systems are this vulnerable. I'm sure everyone's dealing with this across doesn't matter what you're using from a form point of view. It's just these things can happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They're going to be smart enough to figure out how to get around.
Right. So should we talk about the solutions a little bit, or kind of what people talk about there? Mm-hmm. And I think we're still early in our, every time this has happened, it's just been dealt with that quick fix. We've tried to get people to take it more seriously, but because it's been relatively, low impact, everyone's just, let's just delete the form, add, bad data, smart campaign, automatic delete campaigns to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I think now we're taking this very seriously with our clients, and we're going to make sure that everyone is protected and bring it up. And that's why we're creating this video. And that's why we're trying to really work through all of the different ways we can fix it. We're speaking to different vendors on what they can do. So we're going to, once we go through a lot of this and we work through all of the pros and cons through every different method, we're going to release a lot more information on this and examples of where we've created safe systems and forms.
Maybe do like a preparation guide, checklist or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of those things that you can do to help the situation or protect yourself in preparation for an attack like this?
Well, a lot of people talk about Honeypot, but from what I've read on the community, already people are seeing that get bypassed and it's just not working. Mm-hmm. I think it can catch some cases, but it's very easy for someone who's looking to do these spam form fills to figure out that you've got a honeypot and then just work their way around it. So all of this is about helping you sleep at night, right? So I wouldn't sleep at night if I was just relying on the honeypot. I think that from what I've seen and what I've read and what I've tried to figure out, the best, most robust solution for this that's available right now is reCAPTCHA.
Yeah. And
if you go in the Marketo community, look up Sanford Whiteman. He's got tons of stuff on this. He's got, some of it's like deep in comments, in different parts of the Marketo community, but there's a lot out there on the pros and cons of doing this. The pro is that it seems to be the most robust solution. Mm-hmm. The con is that it does take a lot of work. So you set it up, and we, full disclosure, we haven't set it up for a client yet, but we are looking to do that soon, and we'll provide a lot more on the pros and cons when we come to that. But from all of the research that we've done, it takes a lot of time. So at least you'll get into Marketo regardless, right? You just know once they call the webhook to check whether it was a legitimate lead or not, you get a confidence score back. And I think you can decide how much risk you want to take based on that confidence score. But the problem is, so now you've got the data in Marketo, you kind of know whether it was spam or not. That's not all you have to do, right? Because everything's still going to trigger unless you stop it triggering based on this, the value, or I think they say like put a date, or you can use a check, whatever field that you're using to say whether it's passed or failed. Mm-hmm. So if you think, right, you've got your scoring, you've got your triggered form emails going out, You've got your sync to Salesforce, all the things we talked about, like the emails out, the alerts, the integrations, the webhooks, the enrichment, all of that stuff needs to now incorporate this value to say whether it should happen or not. So I've seen examples where the trigger is now that value updating. So I think that, so the one example that I saw, your trigger for someone filled out form for a piece of content or something, you would trigger off that value changing, and then you would say that they, filled out that form or went to that web page or whatever in a certain time frame. And I just feel like
a suppression, that maybe you take the confidence words you don't trust, and then you add that on as like a suppression, so you still keep your filled out form trigger.
But the filled out form happens, but then you trigger the webhook after that. So,
right. Okay.
So you have to trigger from once that comes back, that data comes back. So then if you're doing that and you've got kind of this date on it, that I just feel like that could cause some issues where, like, okay, maybe they fill out lots of forms in one go.
Yeah.
Or whatever that time frame you've put on there, maybe there's a delay in Marketo or something. So I think you have to, this is kind of like we've done a video on order of operations. This is just another reason to have your order of operations just completely nailed down. And again, you're going to have to rethink your whole order of operations with this, because you're going to get data in, you're going to check if it's valid or not, and then you've got to do stuff with it.
Yeah.
And so you have to have that order set up.
Yeah.
So it's just, that's why a lot of people haven't done this, because it takes a lot to figure that out. And then once you do that, kind of whatever way, that you might have other issues, not as bad as this, so it's still worth doing. So I think that's the most robust one. I think if you're not willing to go to that yet, I personally would just remove the first name token from any email that's being triggered.
Yeah.
Just for now, because if an email goes out like, thank you for requesting the demo, like, hi there, or just like, whatever, thank you for requesting the demo, thank you for registering for our webinar.
Yeah, no one's expecting their name to be in that email.
Yeah, and if
someone's going to reach out to them anyway, like 5 minutes later.
Right.
So.
But if they get that with no like malicious text in there, then I mean, that's bad, but it's not as bad if you're starting to send out these bad links to people.
Yeah.
So at least you can stop that from happening, because you don't want to get sued because you sent an email to someone at a bank, right? That then they click the link and they get that bank gets hacked or something crazy like that, right? Like, you would rather just an email go, they can just ignore and move on.
And that brings me actually to think about like autoresponders, because I feel like it was such an old school thing that I feel like people don't really do that anymore, but use for even content that you download, you're sending them to them again via email. And I think there's reasons why people do that, but I feel like it's not really worth having all those triggers either based on filling out a form. So just give them the content. If anything, it probably shouldn't be gated anyway. So
well, that's the next question,
just
right?
give it to them anyway, and then don't have that email being sent out.
Yeah.
But yes, that brings up the next point is like, well, can we minimize our forms or change our form strategy?
Yeah. I mean, I think, well, this is one of those things that I think a lot of people come up against probably in everything, but I feel like we definitely see it in marketing operations, where there's this trigger point or where with an issue. And to solve that issue, you have to think about not just kind of the things like the obvious things surrounding that issue. It just keeps on escalating to the point where you kind of fundamentally have to change everything to potentially solve this one issue. And I think this is a really good example of that, where we have the spam form fill. So then we think, okay, should we just ungate everything? Then if you want to ungate everything, you've got metrics that you're tracking and goals around lead generation and MQLs, and you've got your SDR team to feed with leads. So you'd have to rethink your lead lifecycle. You have to rethink your metrics around your lead lifecycle, your SDR model, like inbound SDR model. Because if you take away all your forms, you're going to potentially get less leads. You have to rethink your content strategy, because instead of, having a goal of content to just generate leads, it's going to be more, you have to look at different metrics to judge the success of that content. So, you start off with these forms, and now you're going to re-architect your whole demand funnel, your whole metrics, your everything from a marketing perspective.
But maybe you need to think, is it time? It's kind of like if you're diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, you're not just going to keep eating stuff that's going to make you sick. Try and figure out what you can do to make yourself better, and that sometimes makes some really big, uncomfortable changes, but in the long run, you're going to feel better. And so I think that potentially, and knowing that you maybe need to make compromises, but you might see more good in the long run. So yes, you're going to ungate more of your content, but more people are going to be able to access that in a way that really suits the buyer now, where they want to do that education themselves. And then maybe for your demo request forms, send them straight to a Calendly thing. People don't want to waste time when they do want to talk to you, so then they can set up time with you on a Calendly link, and that's not a Marketo form.
Yeah, there's tons of tools where you can just schedule time directly with people now, right? It's very easy to get that done.
Yeah, and then that's just a great experience in general from a user experience, and then potentially replacing things with a chat bot, which those will probably end up figuring out how to hack those, but for now we don't really see that happening, and so that might be where you have a way to capture that interest, but through a chatbot instead of a form. And then I think alternatively, maybe using more creativity to figure out how you can minimize some of these downstream effects too. So even for your alerts, does it even make sense to send alerts via email anymore? Because you're going to have those issues where internally you just launch off 125,000 emails to your employees. It's not likely those people are even going to receive those alerts anymore, because your email client has already figured out oh, this might be spam. But maybe you have Slack, so maybe you just turn to Slack.
So you're probably getting 125,000 Slack messages anyway, just when you work at.
But if you have it going just to one
just normal
channel,
messages,
that can be hey guys, sales team, mute this channel for now, we're having an issue, instead of you can't say to your team, mute your Gmail inbox.
Yeah.
So that is an easier thing to combat. So it's really right now in the hands of marketing ops to think creatively around ways that you can compromise, and they might be better. Your sales team is probably using Slack more than they're ignoring your emails, so that is even better in general. And so, like I said, it's maybe a little bit of pain to make those changes, but maybe it's changes that we should be making anyway.
Yeah, and it all comes back to just really thinking through your instance and figuring out where you have these vulnerabilities, where you could be, if you are attacked, what's going to happen, right? And you can just create a lead and just see everything that's happening to that lead and go, okay, oh shit, okay, this, there's an alert sent here, it's syncing to Salesforce here, it's being added to these programs, all of this is happening. Okay, what's some of this stuff that, because so many people that you've inherited an instance, some things you didn't even know were happening in a lot of cases. So do that audit, figure out what could happen. But then I think one of the other solutions, and I think this is going to take a lot more digging into to figure out exactly how to do it, but you're not using Marketo forms anymore, but still using form, but using another form provider. We're starting to do a bit more research into other form providers to see if there's anything that we can do, or if you have a third-party form with an integration, and that integration point has something that you can do to either limit a lot of requests at one time, or check if it has some kind of way to check if that data is bad or not. I think that's going to still be difficult. But if trying to stop the data, if you stop the data before it gets in Marketo, that's perfect, right? If you can.
Mhm.
So I think we're going to be exploring those issues. We recommend a lot of people to kind of look into that. So the more of us in the MOPS community that gets out there and trying to figure out solutions, there's someone's going to come up with, the best, most balanced solution that doesn't require, tons and tons of work, re-architecting everything, but is also quite secure. And maybe that's recapture. But for now, I think it's worth keeping all options open, and trying to figure out if there's maybe, I know we don't want to add like more and more tools to our stack, but like really we don't, if there's a way that we could stop data getting in this type of data even getting into Marketo. I know it's going to be a really tall order, it's going to be hard, but that would just be ideal, right? Because then everything can stay the same. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things we're going to have to keep on just working on it, everyone, and then trying to figure out if, I think there's lots of conversations in Slack channels that we're in, and the community, and the more and more people that bring it up, maybe the more Marketo might be able to get a good solution, or a third-party tool might be able to get a good solution, or someone's going to come up with something, and then it's kind of an arms race. Then then the spammers are going to come up with something else. But yeah, it's a crazy thing, and I think really the point of this was to get out. I think a lot of people know this is going on, but they haven't really seen it get that serious. So to understand how serious it can get, you've got to know.
Yeah, so make this definitely a priority for your team. And if you don't have a huge team, potentially reach out to vendors or agencies, even like CS2 like us, but that can really partner with you to help you figure out a plan, or even talk through ways that you can help minimize your risk.
Yeah, and even then, like, we're going to be putting a lot of information out there, right? So like, look out for that. Go check out the community, see what people are talking about there. Get yourself added to some Slack channels where people are talking about this. We're going to be putting out content as we go through this certain stuff. So, there's just try and get the information, right?
Totally. Yeah, stay informed and do what you can right now. All right.
Anything else to be afraid of right now? Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, okay, but that's a whole nother video.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you have any other tips that you've done that have helped, let us know, or tweet us or message us on LinkedIn. Then we can hopefully share that with you all. So yeah, see you next time on board.
Yeah.